EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has declared her intention to run for a second term. Alexei Navalny's widow accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of killing her husband and vowed to continue his fight against the Kremlin.
A shortage of ammunition in Ukraine is what the army is having to deal with, struggling to hold the 1,000-kilometer front line in the east of the country, following Saturday's withdrawal of Ukraine from the town of Advika. In the Zaporizhia region, Ukrainian soldiers are using their remaining ammunition sparingly to resist Russian offensives.
Я сьогодні можу, наприклад, якщо немає потенційних цілей, взагалі нічого не використати, значить на завтра буде більше.
The Ukrainian army complains that all too often it has to make do with Soviet-era weapons, equipment that is both in bad condition and imprecise. The lack of financial aid from the US is worrying the Ukrainian military in the field.
Эти финансы должны были пойти на производство, в том числе артиллерийских снарядов натовского образца, но оно очень все идет медленно, к большому сожалению. И за эти задержки, за это уменьшение помощи, к сожалению, приходится расплачиваться жизнью нашей пехоты.
US President Joe Biden blames a Russian seizure of Advika on Congress, blocking a €55 billion aid package to Ukraine expected by Kyiv.
EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has declared her intention to run for a second term. She made the announcement after a meeting with the leadership of the Christian Democratic Union Party in Berlin. 5 years ago, she decided to run for office rather ad hoc. This time, the situation is completely different, she says.
Heute, 5 Jahre später, treffe ich eine ganz bewusste und wohlüberlegte Entscheidung. Die Welt heute ist eine gänzlich andere als 2019. Wir haben gemeinsam viel durchgemacht in den vergangenen 5 Jahren und ich glaube, man kann sagen, wir haben mehr geschafft, als wir uns je vorstellen konnten. In diesen 5 Jahren ist nicht nur meine Leidenschaft für Europa gewachsen, sondern natürlich auch meine Erfahrung, wie viel dieses Europa für seine Menschen leisten kann.
Von der Leyen will now stand as the European People's Party lead candidate in the European Parliament elections in June. By announcing her candidacy, von der Leyen has put an end to a months-long speculation about her political future. Her second term in Brussels would have one overriding objective, she says.
We want to strengthen democracy of Europe in the European Union, and we want to address all the challenges around us, but in a way that people know that there's safety and security within the European Union for them.
For many across the world, von der Leyen has become the main European interlocutor. Her re-election would ensure continuity as the world faces multiple crises.
The European Commission President says the EU is stronger and more secure after her time in office. Ursula von der Leyen has just confirmed her intention to stand again for the top job at the EU's executive. In an interview with Euronews' Germany correspondent, she said Europe should rely more on its own resources for defence.
Europe has gotten stronger, because we all understand how important it is to have a sound security spending and to be able to provide security and to defend ourselves. Look at the investment in security and defense. Last year it was around 280 billion. This year projected is already 350 billion euros, so there's an increase. We have to spend more, we have to spend better, and I think we have to spend more European to consolidate our defence industrial base.
Thank you very much. What will it take to keep Europe secure?
Well, Europe, first of all, the alliance of NATO is of utmost importance for the European Union. But I think it is also important that we do our own homework, that we fulfill our tasks, and therefore we have to invest in our defense capabilities in the European Union. But security is a much wider term. We are also working hard to have economic security. We're working hard to have energy security, thus energy independence. We have diversified our energy sources, and we have massively invested in homegrown renewable energy, because this gives us energy independence. So I see the term of security in a much wider sense. The most important part is make sure that our democracy is safe and secure.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alexei Navalny's widow accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of killing her husband and vowed to continue his fight against the Kremlin. Navalny's allies accused Russian authorities of trying to hide evidence as they prolonged the investigation into his death. Yulia Navalnaya on Monday said that her husband's body is being, quote, hidden cowardly, even from his mother.
Мы знаем, из-за чего конкретно Путин убил Алексея 3 дня назад. Мы скоро вам об этом расскажем. Мы обязательно узнаем и то, кто именно и как именно исполнил это преступление. Мы назовем фамилии и покажем лица.
Navalny's mother was denied access to the morgue in Salehard on Monday. The staff refused to answer if the body was there, according to Navalny's spokesperson. On the Kremlin side, spokesman Dmitry Peskov described the accusations being made against the president as, quote, boorish and inadmissible.
The Israeli military claims to have discovered a car stolen from one of the kibbutzes attacked on the 7th of October. They say the vehicle was found inside the Nasser hospital parking lot as troops continued to carry out operations in the battered medical center. The army also released a video showing what they said were unopened boxes of medication labeled with the names of hostages found inside its pharmacy. The head of the World Health Organization says Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis is no longer functioning due to the Israeli army's week-long siege and ongoing raid. The Gaza Strip's second largest hospital is still sheltering many patients suffering from war wounds and the enclave's worsening health crisis. But there's no power and not enough staff to treat them all. Israel is ignoring calls to halt its military offensive in Gaza. It's now vowed to invade the southern city of Rafah if the remaining Israeli hostages are not freed by the upcoming Muslim holy month of Ramadan, due to begin on the 10th of March. Nearly 29,000 Palestinians have been killed and close to 70,000 others wounded since the 7th of October, when some 1,200 people were killed during attacks in Israel by Hamas-led gunmen.
Hungary is blocking progress against the EU taking a unified position against excessive Israeli military action in Gaza and on the actions of extremist settlers in the West Bank. The vast majority of EU countries wish to call on Israel not to take further military action in Rafah, where there's widespread acknowledgement that it would lead to further catastrophic human suffering. All countries except Hungary also agreed to sanctioning violent West Bank settlers in the Palestinian territories. Settlers in the West Bank have used the conflict to kill over 300 Palestinians, as well as attack and expel communities from their homes.
There is disagreement, but I would say that 26 member states support the idea of an EU sanctions regime against violent West Bank settlers. One would be very much opposed.
A humanitarian crisis is ongoing in Gaza and the West Bank as a result of Israel's military campaign in Gaza following Hamas's terrorist attack on October 7th. The EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell says Hungary's veto weakens the EU.
Europa solamente puede jugar un papel cuando está unida, cuando tiene una posición que defienden todos los Estados miembros, más allá de sus diferencias de matiz. Y en el caso del Medio Oriente es evidente que, aunque hemos hecho, creo, importantes contribuciones y en particular una prospección sobre cómo podría construirse la paz, Es evidente que sobre este tema no existe una unanimidad.
The EU requires all member states to agree unanimously on foreign policy. If one country decides to veto, there's no progress. Shona Murray, Euronews, Brussels.
Spain's conservative opposition People's Party retained its absolute majority in the northwest region of Galicia on Sunday in a close-run regional election. Alfonso Rueda, the victorious Galician regional president, said it was a victory for common sense. The People's Party won 40 seats in the 75-seat regional assembly. The Galician Nationalist Bloc finished second with 25 seats, followed by the Socialist Party with 9 seats. The region is one of Spain's most conservative and the birthplace of longtime dictator Francisco Franco.
The European Commission has said it is formally investigating TikTok. The Commission wants to make sure the app is complying with the Digital Services Act, which took effect last year. It also wants to analyse if TikTok is sufficiently protecting minors. The app's measures to stop minors from finding inappropriate content might not be, quote, reasonable, proportionate and effective. The Commission also wants to investigate TikTok's transparency, especially when it comes to advertising on the platform.
1 in 4 children is at risk of poverty or social exclusion in the European Union. This represents an increase of 1.6 million children since 2019. UNICEF's new report places Spain as the EU country with the highest rate of child poverty, although it obtains good results in life satisfaction of young people and air pollution levels. According to the report, more than 11 million children and young people across the EU suffer from a mental health condition,